My name is James Lin, and I'll be discussing about why do things float. In this experiment, I'll be using a balloon. Now, why do things float? To find out why, we need to know about two things. The first one's buoyancy, the second one's density. Now, buoyancy is a term that refers to whether it can float by itself in a fluid. A fluid is not only a liquid, but it could refer to air as a gas, because fluid is a term is a substance that has no fixed structure. It has no fixed structure and it flows but conforms to an external pressure. Think of air in a balloon or water in the cup. The air in the balloon conforms to the balloon shape. The water in the cup conforms to the cup itself. That's a fluid. Now, buoyancy refers to the upward force that exerts on an object that's less dense than the area around it. So, for example, a helium-filled balloon. Typically, a helium-filled balloon will float. This happens because the air around it is more denser than the helium inside the balloon. Think about it this way: a liter of air is about 1.25 grams, but a liter of helium only weighs about 0.18 grams. You can clearly see the difference. Because the helium is lighter, the upward force makes it so that it floats up. But what happens when you have a balloon that's filled up by a person, not by helium? This is such an example. Let's see what happens. Now, what happened that it fell down? Typically, an air-filled balloon would stay level, it will float because of the atmospheric pressure. But a person who filled this up, what did they breathe into it? Not just air, but CO2. What happens is CO2 is denser than the air itself. It's denser than the air around it. Because it's denser, it sinks. This refers to the second term, density. Density is very important in the laws of buoyancy and why do things float. Just think of it this way: a rock sinks, a log floats on water. It all matters about density. The density of the log is displaced on the water, so that when it displaces the water, it's equal. The net force is equal. It floats. For a rock, it's more denser than the water around it, hence it sinks. Or, such as an air-filled balloon, it sinks. Helium-filled balloons, they float because of density and the laws of buoyancy. The net force is stronger. The upward force is stronger. The helium inside the balloon allows itself to displace the air. It's less denser, and hence it floats. But there's a limit. What goes up must come down. What happens eventually? I've talked about atmospheric pressure. I've talked about why does helium or less denser materials float. But what happens when it's a net equal force? What happens when the helium matches the atmospheric density of higher altitudes? What happens then is that it stays. This is what happens. Higher altitudes, there's less oxygen and there's less air molecules. It's less dense. It floats to equalize itself. That's my basic experiment. Thank you for listening, and I hope you liked it.